Good morning. It's time for another morning Bible study. I'm your host, Logan McCulley, and today we're getting into Proverbs 27. So, let's just hop in. Chapter 27, verse 1. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let's hit the breakdown. Boast in tomorrow. Fools think they know the future or can affect its outcome, but the future rests with the sovereign God. So it says, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. The future rests with the sovereign God. I hear that. That's now the future rests with the sovereign God. That's the breakdown, right? I always like to make sure I qualify that so that you know it's not the actual scripture. But hearing that to me says, pray, pray, pray. Pray, pray, pray. Make sure that you're talking with the man upstairs. The man that's everywhere. I mean, should you even say upstairs? I don't know. But the man that's everywhere, in everything, all powerful. Keep his ear. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the one that controls tomorrow. In another way, it says, do not boast about tomorrow because you don't know what the day may bring forth. It also says, like, you don't know what tomorrow brings. Be prepared. Be ready. Because you don't. You literally have no idea. Be grateful for what you have today because it may not be what you have tomorrow. I don't think many people know when their actual peak is when they're at their peak. Because it's not technically the peak. You're still all the way up until you start going down. So it's kind of interesting to think about. Like, you don't know where your peak is until you're there. Verse 2. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth. A stranger, and not your own lips. What? Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth. So you yourself don't praise yourself. You have to let someone else do that. Let a stranger do it, and not your own lips. Alright, got it. There's no breakdown there, but that's pretty straightforward. Don't boast about yourself. Take the lowly place. Take the lowly place. Verse 3. A stone is heavy, and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both of them. A stone is heavy, we can say that, and a sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both of them. So what are you saying? Don't anger a fool? Don't start a fight with a fool. Don't play with a fool. But definitely pity the fool. Verse 4. Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent. But who is able to stand before jealousy? Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent. But who is able to stand before jealousy? Let's look at the breakdown. The most uncontrollable sin is jealousy. Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent, but who is able to stand before jealousy? So jealousy is a sin that sneaks up on you. Jealousy is that thing that you just can't help it. Like, what was it the other day? Like, here's the thing. I've always had old trucks and old cars, and that's just been my life. Okay, so like I'm 28. I'm a young buck, especially when I'm with my mentors. But I've always had old cars. So like my first car was an old Nissan Datsun hard body pickup, right? Had like the long shifter. It was cool. It was like a little 2-seater, nice little pickup truck for me. Perfect. Couldn't go fast, but it got me where I was going. It was great that I couldn't go fast. It was great that it wasn't able to roll because I drove like a teenager. Like, it wasn't a good thing. So I had an old truck, an old Saturn, had a minivan for a few months. I've always had old cars. Currently, I've got an old truck and I drive a little Honda. This Honda now is like a 2015. So we're here in 2024. So it's pretty new, honestly. It's pretty new. And it's really nice. Like, it's coming up on 200,000 miles, whatever. But it's pretty nice, dude. Like, Bluetooth, heat and air, like automatic. It doesn't have any weird motor issues. My last car had an O2 sensor intake issue, that it would just kind of like when you were at a stop sign, if you weren't giving it gas, it would kind of like want to die because the mix was off and I could never get it right. It would just sit there and like shake the whole car. So anyways, I have always had old cars, and I got this truck. This truck's like a '01 F-150. It's my camping truck. I throw all the boys in it. We go and party. I don't have to worry about it getting dirty. It's the camping truck. Well, we get in the truck for this winter, this last little winter season we had, and it didn't start at like 20 degrees. Like below 20 degrees, it was like, nah, bro, I'm good. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. Like, that's my winter truck. I don't even know what to do, or if these other cars are going to do well. And fun fact, they did not do well. The Honda did not drive well in the car. Jennifer's got a Mustang. I mean, it's a V6, but whatever. And it didn't. None of them drove good in the snow. So I'm sitting there with these cars. I've had this history of cars. I've never really wanted a nice car. And we're sitting there, and I was looking at this nice Tacoma the other day on the road, and I was like, you know what? I think I kind of want a new truck. Like, I've never, ever, ever, ever said I wanted a new car. But the other day I felt it. I was like, I want a new truck. And like, is that jealousy? I wasn't jealous of them or whoever was driving the truck having the truck, but it just felt it in my bones and my soul. I was like, you know what? That's a nice truck. I've never had that one before. It hit me right there, and I was like, ooh, that's a new feeling. That's a new interesting feeling. And I don't know how to feel about it, because I know that, and I'm saying new, like brand new off the lot, not just like a new or used car, because I've always done that. But I was like, a new truck like that, one day down the road, that would be nice. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. I don't know if I can bring myself to spend that much money and have all of that loss of value on the front end that's front loaded when you buy a new vehicle. I don't know, but I had that feeling. You know, I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know it was coming. And that kind of feeling when you're like, you're just living your life, you're doing it. I'm a Christian, okay? Bible believing Christian, and I'm in the Word. I pray, and it just hit me. It's just like pow, pow, hit me. And like, you know, they say you're not gonna not be tempted, right? You're always going to be tempted. But it was just like, it just I don't know. It was surprising to me, and it caught me off guard. And I even told Jennifer about it. I was like, I think I want that. Like, that's crazy. I've never had that feeling until like right now. Now, I will say, this last Sunday, I just said I was tempted. I was in church this Sunday, and they said something. The pastor said something this Sunday that really stuck with me, because I've sometimes had an issue differentiating sanctification from justification. No, salvation, sanctification, and then I think justification is when you go to heaven, right? Anyway, so like salvation, we know salvation. You know Jesus. Or I know Jesus, okay? I've accepted him as my Lord and Savior, and I believe that he died on that cross and rose 3 days later, and is going to come back, you know, at some point to get the rest of us, right? He's in heaven waiting, figuring out when he's going to come, okay? Or he knows, whatever. But I know that. That is salvation. What is sanctification? How do you word it? What is the process of sanctification? And I've talked about this, I've thought about this, and I've never really had a good answer. I've talked to other people about it. Well, so salvation is the freedom from sin. Let's do a one-liner on sanctification. Sanctification is freedom from the temptation of sin. And I was like, dang. That is a good way to put it, because like you're learning why the sins are so bad, right? Because like I think that's what people don't get and don't understand, is that like you hear people say sin can be fun. At first, sin is fun. Like, that's how they get you. That's how the devil gets you. Sin's going to be fun. It's going to be tempting. It's going to look good, look cool, whatever. But I feel like when you're reading this Bible, it's unlocking what it really is and what it really does. Like, there's so much wisdom in how it breaks it down and shows you what it is for what it is, so that you can see past the shiny, the new, the fun, whatever, and see what it really is. It's like this honey trap, this honey pot, this thing that's just going to get you. sanctification is the process of seeing that from the jump. I think. So like I heard that this Sunday, and I've been thinking about it. And I think that as you're going through this process of sanctification, okay, you're going to have that gut reaction to see the sin and then know it like a jump and be like, oh, that's why I don't need to do it. So, salvation is the freedom from sin. Sanctification is freedom from the freedom from the temptation of sin. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting one-liner to help you remember it. There you go. That's knowledge from Logan. Knowledge from Lee Brandt. Verse 5. Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. The breakdown. To genuinely love is to manifest the truth, even if it means to rebuke. All right, let's read 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. All right, so those two together, 5 and 6, both equal to genuinely love is to manifest the truth, even if it means to rebuke. So, open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. And faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Love is to have truth, even if it means to rebuke. Now, it doesn't say to be mean. It doesn't say to be abrasive. It doesn't say to just constantly berate someone with the truth, but to never get away from the truth. We talked about this. So like last night was Wednesday night. We talked about this in Man Church, and I just started going to Man Church, and I'm really liking it because I'm around some people that have got, some serious knowledge and some serious interesting things going on, and they know a lot, and they've been around. One of the guys, we were all talking about, like, one guy's like in his 70s, okay? And he was talking about how he has been recently kind of called out by the Holy Spirit. He's been in prayer about his son, and his son just isn't doing what he needs to be doing, okay? And, like, I've known this guy. I've seen him around the church. And, like, you would never know that he's struggling with his son, not knowing Christ. And he shared that with me. And he said, I was being too abrasive and too in his face and too kind of shoving it down his throat. Being like, hey, man, like, what are you doing? It's not what I was saying. It was how I was doing it. And what I got called out on specifically is that, like, Jesus called me out and said, that's not how I would do it. You know that's not how I would do it. So why are you doing it that way? And that was like the aha moment. Because, like, yes, what you're saying is true. Yes, if you don't know Jesus, you're going to hell in a handbasket. You will spend eternity in hell. That is 100% true. But do you need to berate him with it every time? The gospel is the good news. All right? Share the good news. And like then we talked about like how different people open up different ways to meeting new people, to see if they're a Christian, to know if they know Jesus. And like one guy said that he started with asking the simple question, are you spiritual? And then just kind of feeling it out and going from there. And I made the point, I said, well, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy healthcare, is because I get to meet so many different people at different points in their life that I get to talk to them and ask them about their spirituality and tell them a little bit about Jesus. And then another older fellow, man, he straight up called it out. He goes, well, you know what the Great Commission says? And I was like, I mean, share the gospel? He was like, no, it's in there. And I guess let's just take a moment and look this up. All right, so the Great Commission, very end of Matthew 16 to 20. And this is what the guy was saying. He said, what is the Great Commission? Read it carefully. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee to the mountain which Jesus had appointed for them. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Amen. Now, What was just said? Okay, it didn't say just go share the gospel. What did it say? It said, go therefore and make disciples of all the nations. So go and make disciples. That's the commission. Baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. That's like a part of making them disciple. The second part, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Go make disciples, teach them to observe all the things I have commanded you. Not just go share the gospel, but go and teach them. I just heard this last night, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still mulling on it, because it's definitely it's calling me out, because I'm getting better at talking about Jesus to people that I know, or I don't know if they know Jesus or not, like being more comfortable with that. I should just be comfortable with it, honestly, completely, 100%, because I sucked, I was a sinner. Like, there is a gift that I'm trying to give you. Truly, like a gift. I don't stutter when I'm trying to give someone free stuff, like if I've got like free candy. Like, hey, want candy? If you don't, I don't care. Like, well, this is a little different than free candy, but if I'm giving away something for free, if you don't want it, someone will want it. Like, this is something amazing. You don't have to take it. Like, Jesus is different. Like, I want everyone to know that, because if you don't, you're going to hell. How do you convey that? Not say, if you don't take this, you're going to hell. If you don't take this free couch, you're going to hell. That's a hard one. All right, let's move on. Verse 7. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. I like that. I want to figure it out. They do have a breakdown. The luxury and am I where I'm at? Yeah. The luxury and indolence of wealth makes the best things tasteless, while the hard-working person who hungers finds every bitter thing sweet. This proverb extends beyond the food to things in general, which means so much more to those with little. And you know, that's a good point. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. It's like people who don't know how nice rest is because they don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone that doesn't work, whether it be volunteering your time or actually having a job or going to school, people that don't understand that don't really understand how nice rest is. Like yesterday, I worked 13 hours, then went to church, and then when I went home, I picked up Levi to take him to a scout thing, and then came home, went straight to bed. Like, it was like legitimately just go all day. And like, I was so tired, I was kind of like hazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you're like so tired, you're like, It was like a 3:30 in the morning to like, I think I got home at 8:30. That's a long day just to be away from home, going. To like be on for 13 of the hours, because you're on, like you're the nurse. You're like, you're on it. You don't get to just like check out. But it's amazing what you appreciate when you don't have it. And then when you do have it, you just kind of like, There's a term for it now in the science world called hedonic adaptation. But the Bible had it here first. The Bible had it. Verse 8. Like a bird that wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. Ooh, know your place. All right, the breakdown. Such are not only out of place, but off duty and in danger. Stay close to home. Like a bird who wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. That's a warning. That's a warning. Know your place. Be in your place. Again, I'm going to tell you about last night. Like, there was a dude at Man Church. He came in, and it was rough, dude. He was talking about how he had worked with a guy for 17 years. Like, that was his partner at the job. And the dude wasn't there Monday. Dude wasn't there Tuesday. Here comes Wednesday. He still wasn't there. So the guy that was at church called his buddy that was a cop and said, hey, I need you to check on my friend. I need a wellness check. And he called back and said, well, he's in the morgue. A long story short, they think what has happened is that he was cheating on his wife, and he had met a girl and went to a hotel and the woman either drugged him to steal from him and drugged him too much and he died, or just that he was doing drugs and died, or whatever. He died of an overdose of fentanyl while he was probably stepping out on his wife. And the guy was like, he didn't do fentanyl, he didn't do fentanyl. He was crying, it was rough. Like, he even made the point, he goes, and this is why you just stay with your wife and you do what you got to do. And I was like, whew, it's rough. It was real rough. That was crazy, because that just sucks. That sucks to lose a buddy. It sucks to lose a brother. I don't know if he was a Christian, to be honest with you, but like, that's why it's important, I feel like, to reach out to your brothers when you see them stumbling and struggling, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, when you open up that door of doing that kind of stuff, anything's possible. So anyways, that was like, know your place. If he was at home, that wouldn't have happened. Like, whether he was doing it or not, that wouldn't have happened. I don't think. Verse 9. Ointment and perfume delight the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. Let's read it again. Ointment and perfume. Okay, so like nice things. Ointment to like soothe the skin, perfume to smell good, right? Delight the heart. Okay, makes you feel good, makes you smell good. And the sweetness of a man's friend. Okay, so you've got a friend. He's being nice to you, hanging out, whatever, cooking steaks, whatever. Gives delight by hearty counsel. Hearty counsel. Let's see, that's 27:9. It says, from Latin, counsel of the soul. Hearty counsel is counsel of the soul. That makes me feel more like we're talking about like those 2 a.m. conversations you have. Like, that's the best thing I can relate it to. Because like when you're working on the ambulance, there's something weird around 2 to 4 a.m. where like whoever you're working with, like this big burly dude, is going to tell you all about his problems. All about his wife, his girlfriend, his struggles. He's fat, he's whatever. There's something weird about that time frame where you just open up and you can say whatever and it stays in the ambulance. That's what it feels like. That counsel of the soul. Also makes me feel like talking to my brother. Being able to have that open conversation. And not have to explain who, what, when, where. Just having the conversation. It gives delight to the soul. Verse 10. Do not forsake your own friend, or your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. The breakdown. Adhere to tried and true friends. The ties of blood may be less reliable than those genuine friendships. Man, that's some real deal truth right there. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. That's some truth. Verse 11. My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. Breakdown. A wise son accredits his father and also aids him in difficulty with appropriate answers. This proverb is true in reverse as well. All right. My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. So the father helps the son in difficult times with appropriate answers. And the son can help the father do the same. Be wise and help others. Verse 12. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Ooh, man. That's great. Okay, so what are we saying here? A prudent man foresees evil. This Bible's foretelling evil. He's saying there's evil in the world. There's evil out there. If you're wise, you'll see it. However, the simple don't see it and just pass on. And then they're punished for it. That's a scary thought. Verse 13. Take the garment of him who is surety for a stranger, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. Oh, we've talked about this, and I can't quite remember how that whole thing went down back there, because, like, at the time, you either held it or you didn't hold it. Here, we're going to go see the breakdown in 2016. Alright, garments were common security for a loan, but they always had to be returned by sundown. The seductress is more likely a foreigner. Anyone who foolishly has taken the responsibility for the debt of a stranger or an immoral woman will likely never be paid back. So he will never pay his creditor unless his own garment is taken as security. So whoever is the person securing the loan, take their garment and take it. And don't return it at night, apparently. Maybe. I don't know. That one's a little foreign to me, to be honest. This was so long ago. But what's the root takeaway? Take the garment of him who is the surety for a stranger. It says, take the garment of him who is securing the loan. And hold it in pledge when he is a security for a seductress. Oh, and then hold it when he is the surety for a foreigner, for a seductress, for an immoral woman. Immoral women, they're something, dude. They're out there. They're out there, and it's crazy. It's crazy how they can just like destroy a man so easily. Verse 14. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. What? What's the breakdown? Blesses his friends. Excessive flattery all day raises suspicion of selfishness. I don't know. So, like, I do like complimenting people that do a good job. And maybe I do bad about that. About when it's like an instructor or whatever. Because, like, I don't know. Because, like, the instructor can affect your grade. But she also, I'm thinking about Dr. Reed down here at UT. Like, the other day when I was down there through the mission, like, I told you about that. Like, when I was like, oh, man, she's one of the best instructors. She does a great job. And one was like, that's flattery. Or that's brown nosing. And I got kind of bent a little bit out of shape over it. I was like, no, that's not flattery. Flattery is me saying that and wanting something in return. Flattery is me saying that and it not being true. Flattery is there being something that I'm getting out of this and it being based in a lie. That was a compliment. And I really do like Dr. Reed. Like, she does do a good job. Like, she's solid. I can ask her questions and she'll rebuke me when I'm wrong. Like, that's the thing. Like, she will call me out when I'm like, not doing it the right way or maybe pushing a little too hard or whatever. She'll call me out. I like that. Like, that is a respectable person. Like, you do a good job and you're not mean and you're not demeaning, but you're sharp as a tack. That's hard to find. I read this and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know, compliment her at some of these events. Because I'm like, man, but I really do like her. Like, you're a super awesome woman. I mean, she's old enough to be, I mean, she's about my mom. She's a little bit older than my mom. But, like, she just has that, like, that feeling of, like, kind of like a granny. Like, I hate saying that because she's not really that old. But she does have that feeling to me. Because, I mean, I'm her daughter's age. But anyways, she has that feeling of a granny. Maybe she'd be more like a mama. But, I don't know. I hear that and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't compliment her as much. Maybe I shouldn't. But then I talk about her and I'm like, I think she's earned it. I think she does a great job and I think she deserves it. And she needs to know that she does a good job because I don't want her to quit, to be quite honest. Like, I want her to be there for another at least year and a half, possibly longer, because she does a great job. And it's cool to know that the person who's running the FMP program at UT is a solid person. There's a lot of not solid people at that place, but She is. She's got a solid head in her shoulders. So I don't know. I don't know about that. But definitely, if you're going to do that, if I'm going to do that, not do it often, not do it loud, not do it all day. Verse 15 and 16. A continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind, and grasps oil in his right hand. Let's look at the breakdown. This kind of woman is impossible to restrain or tame. We've talked about a contentious woman. It's the ruin to a man. It is the worst thing that can happen. It will ruin you. It's better to live in a cramped, awful space in the top corner of a house. I forget what they call that in the Bible. But that's bad. In this scenario, it's comparing her to a continual dripping on a very rainy day. That's important. I completely agree with that. Whoever tries to restrain her is like trying to restrain the wind or grabbing oil in his right hand. It just goes through your hands, covers your hands. It ain't going to work well. Verse 17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Iron sharpens iron. My dad used to say that all the time. The benefits of intellectual and theological discussion encourage joy through a keener mind and the improvement of good character, which will face the reveal. This is interesting. This to me calls me out on people that I've kept in my life. This to me is like, hey, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you sharpening yourself against? Because you can't sharpen yourself against mud. You can't sharpen yourself against cotton candy. You have to sharpen yourself against iron. Iron sharpens iron. Good things make good things better. Who are you sharpening yourself against? Who are you spending your time with? Man, that's rough. Because there are people that I want to bring up with me, but iron makes iron better. That might be our Bible verse for today. We'll keep going through, though. Verse 18. Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit, so he who waits on his master will be honored. Whoever takes care of the tree is going to be fed. Whoever takes care of his master will be honored. There is no breakdown. But I do like that. Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit. Take care of it. Tend it. Whoever does that for his master will be honored. There's something there. I don't know what it is, but there is something there. Your job, who you work with, who you work for, taking care of Jesus, being there for Jesus. I mean, he did everything for us. Least you can do is like disciple and not just spread the gospel. That's what I'm saying. Not just spread the gospel. I got to think more on that. Verse 19. As in the water, face reflects face, so a man's heart reveals the man. So how a man's heart acts, functions, shows itself, reveals who the man actually is. And no breakdown as well. Verse 20. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of a man are never satisfied. The breakdown. Man's desires are never filled up. They are insatiable as the place of eternal punishment, which never overfills. Let's read that again. Start with the verse. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of the man are never satisfied. So, literally, hell and destruction, down there, or wherever there is never full. So are the eyes of man never satisfied. So just like there's always room for hell to grow. Okay, so cool. So like that want with the truck. And that want that I had with that truck. That's going to happen. Let's say I go get the truck. It's going to happen again with maybe a car, maybe a watch, maybe a thing, maybe gold. I don't know. The eyes of a man are never full. And we're part of that issue. We are fallen man. This is a fallen world. So the eyes of the man are never satisfied. Now let's read the breakdown again. Where are we at? What verse was that? 20? Man's desires are never filled up. We got that. They are as insatiable as the place of eternal punishment which never overfills. Got it. Completely insatiable. Okay. Verse 21. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him. Man, isn't that true? Your reputation is how you are valued. What is the breakdown now? Value is not the best understanding. Popularity and praise test rather than value personal character in the crucible, not cubicle. See notes on 17:3. Let's go see what that's about. I mean, it's interesting because, like, you have to be known for being good. Like, there was a retirement party I went to, and the guy that was retiring, when he retired and all his buddies from the fire department got him a gift, they all said, man, we all know blank. I don't want to say who it was. We all know blank, and we all know that he loves 3 things: bourbon, fighting fire, and something like cars or something, okay? And I was like, huh. I really hope that when someone says that about me one day, they say, we all know Logan. He loved God, his family, and camping or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Something. Like, whatever I enjoyed doing at that time in my life. Reading, I don't know. Hiking, backpacking, whatever. But God, family, and then something fun. That's what I hope they say about me. And that's not what they said about him. And that kind of hurt my heart. It really did. Alright, so let's talk about 17:3. This is the breakdown. The refining pot. This was a heated crucible used to test and refine precious metals. And the verse that it comes from is, the refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. This one is the same start. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but a man is valued by what others say of him. Oh, it's saying, and a man is valued by what others say of him. Not because what other people say of him. And a man is valued by what others say of him. Interesting. It's saying that praise and popularity test the personal character. Verse 22. Though you grind a fool into a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. So we know what a mortar and pestle is, like crushing up herbs or pills or whatever. The breakdown. A bowl and rod of stone, which were used to crush solid grain into powder. Though you grind a fool in a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. So you can't grind out someone's foolishness. Maybe that's speaking to, like, that guy who's trying to grind out the foolishness of his son. Like, you physically cannot grind out the foolishness of someone. You kind of have to like give them like a little treat, like a horse. Like, come here, come on, you're almost there. We're almost there. I don't know, but that is interesting. You can't grind out the foolishness. All right, verse 23 to 27. There's a little section that we're going to read about this last little section first. This portion contrasts the common shepherd's labor in God's provision with the fleeting nature of uncertain riches and power. Since all lands reverted to the original owners every 50 years, flocks were the staple wealth. Only by care and diligence can they be perpetuated and profitable. God's providence aids this efforts to properly use the blessing of the land. Alright, so we had talked about this in the Old Testament, where every 50 years the land reverts back to its owner. So you don't ever really own the land. So you can't make a dynasty of wealth, or you can't grow wealth with just land. What do you keep? You keep the herds and the large herds. So using the herds and God's providence and God's provisions to help with those those flocks. And then God's providence aids in the effort of that. All right, so let's read the verses. This is 23 through 27. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. All right, that's kind of a command. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and to attend your herds. Knowing that this was their only bit of wealth, like only way to continue wealth or hold wealth. It's interesting because it's like saying today, be diligent and know the state of your finances and attend to your finances. All right, it kind of maybe. Verse 24, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. And then it says on the flip side of that, so attend to your herds. For riches are not forever, because every 50 years, the land goes back to itself. So what do you have? What do you have when riches go away? So it's not finances. What do you have when it goes away? I think of like relationships you build up with people. Like, I think of like your literal like herd of people, your flock that you're being shepherded with. Like, tend to those people, because when money and power go away, what will you have? You'll have your people. I think we're onto something. Nor does a crown endure to all generations. We don't know who's going to be in power, but you'll have your herd. When the hay is removed and the tender grass show itself and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lambs will provide your clothing and the goats the price of a field. So you're taking care of the herd and the herd's taking care of you. The lambs will give you the clothing. The goats that you sell will be the price of the field. Like, you can get a field in return. You shall have enough goats milk for your food, for the food of your household and the nourishment of your maidservants. That's a promise from God. But that's also in this whole section of you have to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. To have enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household, and for the nourishment of your maidservants. So like it's not just a, hey, you're going to get it for free. You have to do these things. So, that's interesting. That is Proverbs 27. This last week, Levi finally had his official crossover ceremony to Boy Scouts. Yeah, he's been in Boy Scouts since the beginning of the year, but they finally had the official crossover ceremony. It was awesome. I'm going to say, though, like, my stomach hasn't been right since we ate the food that was catered in. And we paid for the catering. Don't get it twisted, because someone else got it twisted that came that night. Wasn't free. You had to pay for the food. But then Levi that night just vomited and threw up and vomited and threw up like all night. The next day, Jennifer's stomach was upset, and like, I don't ever really vomit. It's like my stomach is like, it doesn't matter what we eat. We're just going to keep on taking it. And then pushed it to my bowels. And I've had like some like bloating, some diarrhea, some like awful nastiness since like that day. And it's already Thursday. So like Monday wasn't too bad, but Tuesday was bad. Yesterday was bad. And then this morning I still feel like bloated and inflamed and just like gross on the inside. But Levi's now in Boy Scouts. 100%. And I'm really excited about that. So that's a congratulations to Levi. Go ahead and keep praying for me. Pray for Jennifer. Pray for our unborn child. I want her, we don't know if boy or girl yet. Grow strong, grow healthy, be safe, and keep Jennifer safe as well. We're kind of worried about her blood pressure, probably. It's like kind of like already starting to creep up, so just pray for us, keep us in your prayers. We're literally living by the grace of God, so just keep us in mind. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thank you for coming to the Morning Bible Study with me, your host, Logan McCulley. And I'll see you next time. I'm out.